Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I welcome all of you for this Sunday feast program today at Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Mandir. So we all saw this wonderful drama today, and a very instructive drama. In fact, one of the very famous anecdotes, which highlights very important aspect in Krishna consciousness. As we all saw, how the king lost his finger, and he had a minister who was always, fully absorbed in devotional service. So whatever would happen, he would always say, that is Krishna's mercy. So when the king lost his finger, he said, this is Krishna's mercy, but the king could not understand that. So king, by fit of anger, he put him behind bars, though he was his closest associate. But then he later on realized, when he went back again to the hunting expedition, that he was saved because of that finger. Huh? And then he realized that it is because of the mercy of the Lord that he was saved. Then he had this another question. He said, if that was the case, then my sending the minister to prison, how that is mercy? So the minister explains that if I would have traveled with you, if I was out, you would have taken me with you. And because if you were, not to be offered, so then the next obvious person would have been myself, and I would have been beheaded. So this is actually the Lord's mercy. So, devotee really understands that. In this material world, as we all know, that when somebody has power in his hand, then he forgets that whatever he has received or he is receiving or he will receive is by the grace of the Lord. In fact, everything that we have in this world is by the grace of the Lord. But what happens when somebody gains power, for whatever reasons it may be? Maybe somebody has strength, somebody has the ability to do something very great which others cannot do. Then, pride goes into your head. Power makes you proud. We see in the Shastra, the story of Hiranyakashipu, how he was so powerful. He thought that nobody can kill him. He had taken a life insurance from Brahmaji. He thought that he is going to be immortal, but then ultimately he was destroyed. What was there which was not there with him? We cannot make the sun rise from the west if we want to, but that Hiranyakashipu could do. If he wants a very nice environment, then he can make the demigods do that. That means all the demigods were under his control, which was not possible under any living entity, you can say. But Hiranyakashipu could do that. It seems all the demigods were afraid of him. Whatever Hiranyakashipu would do or say, they would always be on their toes. Just see whether, is there any instruction from him. And that one person, Hiranyakashipu, had a child, Prahlad, who did not agree to his orders. What he could have done, he could just ignore him, forget about it. I have so many others under my command. But then that one person made his life miserable. And ultimately that was the cause of his death. Ravan. What was there which was, for him, like, say, he is lacking. He had the most beautiful lady as his wife, as Mandodari. He had so many other wives who were very, very beautiful. He had held all of them captive under him. He had a palace made of gold, Swarna Lanka. But then, ultimately, it so happened that Surpanaka told him that, Sita would be a good wife for you. That particular person who had everything under his feet, he just got infatuated just by hearing about the beauty of Sita and went to kidnap her and wanted to make her his wife. And because he was not able to do that, he became completely frustrated. And everyone could see that, he is going to be destroyed. His own brother Vibhishan told him that, don't do this. You will destroy not only yourself, but the entire clan, you can say, entire kingdom will be gone. And that's what happened. Just because he just wanted to have Sita as his wife, he wanted to just get married to Sita, who is none other but the Lord's consort. But the ultimate result was what? It was destroyed. Duryodhan, he had the power. Of course, by deceitful mean, he usurped the kingdom. Krishna came as a Shanti Dut, as a peace messenger, and said, just give them 5 villages, that's all. Was it so difficult for him? He would have just said, okay, take this, finish. And probably the Pandavas would have been happy, and Duryodhan also would have been happy. But Duryodhan wanted to have entirely everything for himself. He said, I will not give even a kingdom which is equal to the tip of a pin. And then the great war took place, Mahabharata. And then what happened? Ultimately, everyone had to lay down their lives. Everyone means each and every person except the Pandavas. Bhishma Dev had to lay down his life. Dronacharya had to lay down his life. Karna had to lay down his life for him. Not only that, Duryodhana and his entire set of brothers, all the 100 sons, had to lay down their lives. Just why? Because he wanted that kingdom entirely for himself. He didn't want to compromise. So it is said that, when you have that power, you have that pride. And His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, in one of his lectures, he was mentioning that how this pride leads to endless competition in this material world. When somebody is proud, he wants to get everything that he can catch hold of in this material world. He just doesn't want, something can be within his control, he would like to have that. He would not like to leave that aside. And said that, when there's pride, there is more and more expectations. The expectations goes on increasing. You want to acquire more and more and more and more. And that's what happens. You see in this material world also. When somebody doesn't have any money or doesn't have power, he is very cool. The moment you get something, some money, you feel like I should make. Like, when I was small, there was one friend of my father who would always say, in this world, everyone is running after money. Somebody who has 1,000 rupees will run after 1 lakh. Somebody who has 1 lakh will run after 1 crore. Somebody who has 1 crore will run after 10 crores. Somebody who has 10 crores will run after 100 crores. So there's no end to it. I did not understand what he was saying, but now I realize that, that the moment you have more money, you want to, get some power. You want to exercise your control on some things. And then you get more, then you want to exercise control on so many other things. More. Then maybe you want to become a politician, or you want to own a particular team, whatever. No end to it. The moment you become a politician, you want to become a minister, maybe you want to become a chief minister, you want to become a XYZ, and then no end to it. So expectations go on increasing in this world. When there's power, just go on increasing. And then what happens when you don't get it, then what comes is frustration. And each one of this material world, it is said that when you expect something, the laws of this material world is such that it will not fulfill those desires. All your desires will never be fulfilled in this world. It will always make you miserable. And then when you have more expectations, when those are not fulfilled, lead to frustration. Your intelligence goes on. Dhyayate yoshan pumsam. Sangaste supajayate. Sangat sanjayate kama. Kamat krodho vijayate. Krodat bhavat sambhava. Sambhava smriti vibrama. Smriti bhramshad buddhinasha. Buddhinasha pranashyati. So then in this material world, as soon as you get attached to something, lust. It's not fulfilled, there's anger. Anger is not, then without anger, the bewilderment of memory, intelligence is lost and completely lost. So it is said that the more you get, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj is mentioning, the more you get, the more you demand. And then you get infatuated. And when you get infatuated, when you don't get it, you get frustrated. So this is the state of the world that we live in. That whenever false ego becomes very prominent in our lives, then we become blind to the things that are around us. We fail to understand that whatever we have or whatever is happening around us is by the will of the Lord, or by the grace of the Supreme Lord. So that's what one fails to understand. So false ego is the greatest enemy for all of us. And that's why Srila Prabhupada mentions that gratitude is a prerequisite for one to be Krishna conscious. One need to be grateful for the gifts that one receives in this material world. When one is grateful, then he actually is in a proper consciousness. So it is said that, Srila Prabhupada mentions that to be grateful, one needs to have a very simple heart. And simple and grateful, they are inseparable. If you are simple, then you will become grateful. You will see things around and you will acknowledge the presence of the Lord in all those things around which you see in this material world. So, he was mentioning in one place that humility is not that, you just come forward and then bow your head in front of others and say, I offer my obeisances to you, or you just appear to very meek. Humility, he was saying that humility means that a devotee in different situations knows that everything is good, what is happening in him, and with folded palms, he just thanks the Lord. And then he says that I deserve more, but then, if this is your plan, my dear Lord, I accept it. That is what is humility. We all know these famous lines by Lord Brahma, Lord Brahma's prayers in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. When he was humiliated. Same thing happened with Brahma. Brahma had the power. He thought he is the master of the universe. Of course, he is, in the sense, one sense, because he is a creator. He was the first person in this universe, and then after that everything was created. So definitely, that thing goes in your head. You become proud. So Brahmaji became proud about his, and then he was wondering, how can this small child be the supreme personality? Because he saw that he's just putting his food in somebody else's mouth, from that person's friend's mouth, he puts it in his mouth. See, this may not be the same supreme personality whom I worship. And he just hid all the cowherd boys of his and the cows into the cave. And he wanted to see the fun. He was playing with fire actually. He was playing with his boss. Nobody can dare to play with the boss in the office, right? Can anyone dare to go to the boss's office and say, let me just steal some books from here and keep it in my book. Let me see how the boss reacts. If the boss knows, you will be fired. Gone. That's the end of your day. You'll have to look out for some other job. Right? So, Brahmaji was playing with his boss. He actually was stealing his intimate associates. Someone whom he loved the most. Like for Krishna, his boys, his friends were very dear to him. The cows were very dear to him. And what did Brahmaji do? Brahmaji just stole away all those cows, the cows, in fact, and the boys. And he was saying, let me see the fun. But then moment he came back, he saw that the same cowherd boys and cows were around. Krishna had expanded into all the cowherd boys and cows. And he became so bewildered. With his four heads, he could not understand how it's happening. So he went back and forth, he went to the cave, he found that they are sleeping, and he came back again, he found that they're still there. So he got completely bewildered. And then he saw all those personalities transforming into 400 forms of Vishnu, and then he understood that this is my boss. I played with fire. And then what to do now? He actually, came down and offered obeisances. I started offering prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. First, Krishna did not look at him also. The Acharyas mentioned, what is the difference between Indra and Brahma? Same thing. Indra also had power. He tried to destroy the Lord. The difference between Indra and Brahma was that Indra actually got all the Brijvasis together. But in this case, Brahmaji separated all his associates away from the Lord. So the Lord was not ready to look at him also. Brahmaji with folded palms started offering obeisances, prayers after prayers, verses after verses. And then that mention is there. Tatenu kampam sushamikshamano bunjan mayotam kritam vibhagam ridvag vapurvi vidadhanamaste jiveti mukti padesa dayabak. So the translation goes on like this. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So then Brahmaji says that, that one who accepts all those trials, tribulations in his life, considering that it is a result of his past sinful activities, and with folded palms thanks the Lord for everything that he has got. Thinking that he deserved more, but then by the Lord's mercy I have got less. That person is a rightful heir to the kingdom of God. So this was actually Brahmaji's prayer. It is said that, a devotee in Krishna consciousness, he is supposed to be very simple, have a very simple heart, and he should acknowledge the presence of the Lord in each and everything around him. A devotee acknowledges the natural gifts that he receives from the Lord. What are the natural gifts that we receive? The grains, the fruits, the vegetables, the rivers, the hills. Srila Prabhupada mentions the hills made of jewels. All these are the natural gifts which the Lord gives. And it's mentioned, Srila Prabhupada says that human prosperity flourishes by natural gifts and not by the gigantic industrial enterprises. Because industrial enterprises are made by us. Whereas all the other things, the natural gifts which are there, are given by the Lord himself. Srila Prabhupada mentions that ultimately for you to survive, you can't survive on nuts and bolts from the factories. What you need to survive on are these grains, fruits, vegetables. Unless until somebody doesn't grow these fruits and vegetables and grains, we cannot survive in this world. Like I was in Kolhapur just a week back, and same situation over there also, all the agricultural lands are becoming non-agricultural. So a devotee who from childhood has always been for lush green land and cultivation, always into that natural, he says, I feel frustrated when I see all these things happening here in Kolhapur also. Because Kolhapur is supposed to be completely fertile land. It can, generate so much of crops for most of us to survive also. But now slowly those land are only cultivated or converted into non-agriculture. And he was saying that they don't realize that ultimately for us to survive, then we need to survive on grains only, which will not get. And everything is becoming costlier and costlier. Right? What was available for 20 rupees kilo is now 200 rupees a kilo. Dal cost 20 times more. Everything is costly. Fruits, if you want to buy, nothing below 200 rupees a kg. What is 200? And there are times when you could just get for just 10 rupees kilo or 20 rupees kilo. Somebody in this world at this time may understand, maybe he's telling lies, but then that was a situation which was there earlier, and now so everything becoming costlier. But then we understand that, unless until we have those gifts from Mother Earth, we will not be able to survive. Then what are the other natural gifts? The sunshine, Srila Prabhupada mentions, the moonshine. If the sun is not there, none of us will be able to survive. You cannot do anything. Nothing will grow. The moon gives nourishment to all the plants. Air. If you close your nose for say maybe few seconds, we'll start suffocating. We want air, we want fresh air. People want to walk in nature park. most of the hoardings are there, nice, lush green, park for you. They sell their things with this, You have ample space around and nice walking. You'll find some lady walking in the, some advertisement like this. For advertisement, ladies are there. Just to attract. But the point here to note is that, air. Can we all survive without air? Has anybody even thought about it for a minute and say, if there is no air, probably I cannot live here. So shouldn't I thank the Lord for this? Has anybody stopped for a moment and said, thank you very much for giving me air? At least I have not done that. But now after reading, I thought I should do it. Water. Water, you cannot survive without water. If there is no water, you cannot cook also. Forget about anything, survive. You cannot cook. Drinking water is one thing. Most of the delicious items, you cannot do anything without water. Forget that. You want to wash your hands also, you need water to wash your hands. To clean something, you need water. To clean the floor, you need water. For everything you need. So, Surya Dev, Chandra Dev, water, air, all these are the natural gifts of the Lord. But we have no time to acknowledge that particular aspect of the Lord's mercy. We are not thought about taking time off and say, thank you, my dear Lord, for all these things. Thank you for the wonderful gifts that you are giving us in the form of grains, in the form of fruits, the vegetables, the sun, the moon, the air, the water, and everything else around. We don't have time to think about it. We are just busy, trying to achieve what I can for my own pleasure and then move ahead. We don't have time to sit and think about it. But these are the natural gifts of the Lord for which we need to acknowledge and thank. Prabhupada mentions that we become obedient to the laws of God and don't exploit Mother Earth, then there is no scarcity in this world. The scarcity is just because we are exploiting and exploiting beyond its limit, and that's why the Mother Earth doesn't give anything, or there is scarcity because of our selfish attitude. Srila Prabhupada mentions, simply enjoying the gifts of this world is like thieves and rogues. So if you all don't acknowledge the gifts that we are receiving, then we are nothing but rogues and thieves. Why? Because we are just taking it for granted without acknowledging. That we are stealing away the Lord's property. When I was in the college and when I was in the surgery department, my professor told me a very wonderful point, and that I always keep in my mind. He said that if you respect the tissues will respect you. In other words, if you want to cut the tissue also, if you do it very gently and nicely, then you'll get a good response also. If you butcher it up, then you'll get a complication. Same thing is applied in this world. That if you do not respect or if you do not acknowledge what you are receiving, then you are going to get a reaction from Mother Nature. Right? That's what happens. Then we should acknowledge for whatever reciprocations we receive from the Lord actually. One is the gifts, the second is a reciprocation. Now what do you mean by reciprocation? It said that many times when we have to ask for something, we just go and pray. But then when we receive, we just forget. We just forget, right? Like many times the students come and say, exams, please, let me pass. And once they pass, they don't say thank you very much. They think that it's because of me. Ye to easy tha. Question is easy. But who gives that remembrance? Who gives the intelligence? Suppose if you forget at that time, It happens, many times happens. Like doing one exam, I was fully prepared. And then as soon as I sat down and a paper was given, this was final year exam, actually, final year exam. Just I opened the question paper, I received the question paper and everything became blank. I thought I don't know anything. Actually started crying for 10 minutes. I did not remember anything. I was thinking how I can write this answer. Now if I don't write, I'll fail. Fortunately, supervisor was so nice. He just came to me and said, what happened to you? You know everything. And of course, he doesn't know me. But then he just said, you know everything. He got me some water. He said, just be cool and just think and write. And after 10 minutes, then everything I remembered. Everything I remembered. And then wrote. And I topped that particular subject also. But my point in telling you is that if the Lord wants to forget, you cannot remember at all. Even if you have studied also and gone for exam, you cannot. You have to depend on Him. You have to depend on Him. Matas pritir jnanam apohanam cha. You have to, depend on the Lord. Please. मैं पढ़ के आया हूँ अभी. I have to vomit out in the paper. But then when happens, when एकदम easy था. बहुत easy था. And then you forget that, it was actually Lord who actually gave that remembrance. But what happens before the exam, they say, please, my dear Lord, let me just, and then once something happens, then you forget. So when you are in difficulty, you remember, but when everything's over, then you just forget. Same thing happened to Sugriva. Sugriva wanted Lord Ram's help to kill Vali. And the agreement was that, okay, once you have made the king, then you help me find Sita. That was a contract. But after Sugriva became the king, he started enjoying. He forgot that he is supposed to help Lord Ram find Sita. Then Lakshman had to remind him that you had taken a contract with Lord Ram that you are supposed to find Sita. Right? That's what happens with all of us, actually. So one has to acknowledge the reciprocation of the Lord. The Lord is always there to reciprocate with your desires. When you put forward your proposal to Him, the Lord, reciprocates. But then, when He reciprocates, we are not there to actually reciprocate. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that, the way when Lord reciprocates, how do you have to react? By your surrender and your service. That Lord is doing something for me, I should actually do something again for the Lord in the form of surrender and service. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that when there is reciprocation between the Lord and the devotee, then it's a very conscious act. But if you don't reciprocate, then you are a stone. It's like that. That's how heavy it is. And the Lord is always there to reciprocate. Arjun surrendered to the Lord's orders, and what did Lord become? The Lord became his charioteer, actually. Such a menial position that the Lord is ready to take for his devotee. Is there anything lower than that? Just to become a charioteer, it's like becoming a driver. Aaj ke din mein, you become a driver, right? So Lord became a charioteer for Arjun, because Arjun acknowledged everything. In fact, not only Arjun, the Pandavas, acknowledged everything that they had in their life. They never asked the question why. They always surrendered, and they always were ready to serve the Lord. The Lord was ready to serve them. The Lord's, recipient form of being the chariot driver, right? It said that Lord fulfills everyone's desires. In fact, Yashoda wanted to have the Lord as a child, and the Lord came as a young child and reciprocated with Yashoda Mata's desire. All the childhood pastimes, the Lord actually exhibited it with Yashoda Mai, right? So, if you say something and if you don't mean it, then the Lord will also reciprocate accordingly. Ye yathamam prapadyante tam sataya bhajamyam. Just as you approach me, I reciprocate with you. If you are very sincere, genuinely you are expressing a desire, then Lord will also reciprocate. But if you are just for the sake of, you just do it superficially, then the Lord will also act with you superficially. Like there's a nice story, like a beggar, he goes to a merchant's place and he has a very big bungalow and huge lawn, everything. He understood that this person is a very rich person. So what happens, this person, beggar, goes that if I glorify him very nicely, he will give me something. So he goes to him and starts glorifying. Oh, you are so nice, you are so wonderful, and you are so glorious, you are so... So the merchant understands that this person is unnecessarily trying to glorify. Best thing the beggar would have said, I am hungry, please give me something. But the beggar, merchant did it. But he was thinking that he should do that, started glorifying. So merchant also thought, I'll teach him a lesson. So merchant said, oh my dear wife, please get 1 glass of milk. So he is thinking that, if because I glorified this much, I am getting glass of milk. So he just goes on glorifying more. He says, my dear wife, just get one nice, gift. And he thinks that, oh, maybe. My dear wife, get a nice chadar for him, nice dress for him. So, he just goes on. But he's seeing that, I am glorifying, nothing is coming out from inside. So he says, my dear sir, please tell me, I have been waiting for all those things which you are asking your wife to get it out. Where is it? He said, how did you glorify? He said, by words. He says, even I also did with words. Even I just reciprocated with your words. So that's what happens, But if you have genuinely, you just express your desires in front of Allah, Lord reciprocates and then acknowledge that particular aspect. Also, one should acknowledge the audience of the Lord. Audience means the presence of the Lord in the form of Archa Vigraha. Here at Shri Radha Gopinath is waiting here patiently for all of us, accepting our prayers, our, whatever wishes that are there. It is said that before, installation of the deities, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj was saying that whenever a new temple is to be constructed and we get the deities ready for the Lord, ready for the temple, the earlier night the Lord is made to sleep and there's nice bed made for the Lord. But then he's not woken up early in the morning at 4 o'clock. They wake up the Lord at 9, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, late. So His Grace Gaurampu asked, why like that? So he gave a nice answer. He said, this is the last time the Lord is going to sleep. After that, he is going to stand for eternity for all the devotees to come. So let him rest for some time. Let him rest, because बाद में वो खड़े रहेंगे तो खड़े ही रहना पड़ेगा. हम लोग को तो बैठने को मिलता है. He can't sit standing. And what a wonderful way, where we can go and offer our prayers. He is there, always there, smiling, and you have to just come express your desires, your problems, whatever it is, like I went to His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj many years back, 20 years back. That time I had very intense situation, problems. He just listened to everything. He said, you should both go in front of Shri Radha Gopinath and pray to them sincerely. So then we did that. And then, since then, whenever we have any problem, just go in front of him and then offer our, prayers, our problems, like that. Pratipa nahi tumi sakshat vrajendra nandana. The Lord is not a statue or idol. He is sakshat vrajendra nandana. It's His merciful form which has come onto this world for the benefit of all of us. He actually reciprocates. He is sakshat vrajendra nandana. He is Lord Himself. It's not that, He is in the, Lord is in the No, he is. He is Gopinath. When you go to the spiritual world, you will find the same personality there. Supreme personality, same form. Dancing and playing on his flute. Sakshat Vrajendra Nandana. And then we have so many, wonderful stories that we hear. Many of them, are in the scriptures. One glaring example is of Kirchor Gopinath, where Madhavendra Puri, he had a desire to taste that sweet rice which was offered to Gopinath. He just desired. He just desired. It's not, he wanted to offer to his Gopal. So when he went to Remuna and he asked the pujari ki what is the best that they offer here to Gopinath, and they said the kheer is Amrita Keli. It's called Amrita Keli. It's the best which is offered. More nectar here. And then said that when the offering was going on, Madhavendra Puri saw those pots and he was thinking that let me just, if the pujari would have given me, I would have tasted it and I would have made the same for my Lord Gopal. So it said that suddenly it struck him that the Lord is not at all accepted now and I am thinking of tasting it. How sinful I am. And then he rushes out of the temple. He didn't want to show his face also. He goes into the marketplace. But when the curtain closes, Gopinath comes in a dream of the pujari and tells that I have stolen one pot of kheer for my devotee Madhavendra Puri. So please come, take that pot and give it to him. Pujari is shocked. He gets up, he goes, actually finds that pot of kheer behind the curtain and then goes and gives it to Madhavendra Puri. He says, you are the most fortunate that the Lord has actually stolen the pot of kheer for you. Now if he is just a statue, how can he steal? How can he steal if he is just a statue? He is not statue, he is the Lord. And because he is the Lord, he can do anything. He can steal all and still keep all the pots as it is also. He can do anything. Right? Sakshi Gopal, the Lord walked all the way to Vijayanagar, just to Vidyanagar, no? Vijayanagar. So there he went to become a witness. So we find that so many places the Lord reciprocates. Just to give his darshan, the Lord turns 180 degrees to give darshan to Kanakadas, who was not allowed to enter into the Udupi temple. So from then onwards, the front door entrance is closed. And it said that whoever is to take darshan has to first take darshan to the Kanakana Kindi. Kanakana Kindi means it's a window of Kanakadas. Kanakana Kindi. Kindi is window in Kannada. Kannada is called Kindi. Kanaka Kindi means Kanakana Kindi. So you have to first take darshan through that, then you enter the temple and take darshan. The Lord turned. Once it turns, he turns. Then it doesn't. Then for rest of eternity is like that. So my point here is to mention that the Lord is here and we have to acknowledge the presence of the Lord here in the temple. That's why we have so many rules that when you come to temple, you should not talk any prajalpa, not talk nonsense, because the Supreme Personality is right in front of you and is here to give his darshan to everyone. So one has to acknowledge the audience of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada mentions that Lord is omnipotent and all-powerful, and therefore by Archa Vigraha incarnation, he can accept the service of devotees just to make it convenient for a person in conditioned life. Because we are not able to see Lord everywhere, so a person in conditioned life, just to make it convenient for a person in conditioned life, the Lord is coming here in the form of Archa Vigraha. Then we also acknowledge the presence of the Lord, not when everything is going on nice also, but even in trials and tribulations also in our life. When there are problems which come in our life, then that time also we should acknowledge the presence of the Lord. Just like in this drama we saw that a king's finger was cut. He did not, but the minister acknowledged that it is the Lord's mercy. And when he was put into prison also, that time the minister said it is still the Lord's mercy. He did not say, For you, your hand was cut, it is Krishna's mercy. But my going into the jail is why? He didn't ask like that. That also acknowledges Krishna's mercy, right? So it is said that the tribulations, the problems or situations in life come, to make a devotee strong. Just like gold, if it has to be made pure, then it has to put into fire. All the impurities go off, and then so like when the trials and tribulations come, they make a person very strong. Just like for a student, if there are no exams, how can you evaluate? All right, and how will you know where a person stands? The tests are there so that they can go to a higher level. Then those tests, once they pass, then they go to a higher level, like that. So that's how the tests are actually meant for that. So the trials and tribulations, they are like stepping stones to success. They just make you stronger, more stronger, more stronger. It's like this. So it is said that when situations come in a life like that, tribulations, externally we have to deal with those situations. It's not that like when things come, you say, it's your mercy, I just don't do anything. No. Externally we have to deal with the situations. But internally we understand, or we have this particular consciousness that, my dear Lord, I don't understand why this is happening, but I have faith that in the association of devotees, I have faith that whatever is happening is because of you, and you are the one who is taking care of my life. And if this is what I need for my progress in spiritual life, rather than becoming frustrated, I will like to understand how I can see the inconceivable form or mercy of the Lord. Let me just understand this. Internally, we should always be in that mood. I may not be able to understand why this is happening, but I have faith that whatever is happening with me is for my own good. So let me just go through this, and let me just be given the strength to understand and to go through, and at the same time take shelter of your name and your devotees. So, when you are in this consciousness, then you are rightly placed. In fact, as Brahmaji mentions that when something happens like this, when some situations come like this, we just think that I just deserve more, but maybe by the Lord's mercy, I am just getting a very, token, problems, and I thank the Lord for that. So that's how we should think about. We also acknowledge the Lord for all the knowledge that we are receiving, all the knowledge, the education that you receive, right? Lord comes and then He gives instructions through Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. The instructions are given through, His representatives. So all those things are there which make us more strong, and we understand that, because knowledge, like Srila Prabhupada mentioned, my books are the basis, the foundation. So when we have knowledge, understanding the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, then what happens is that it makes us more strong and more convinced about our, being in Krishna conscious. So that's very important. So scriptures are the most important thing, and we understand that these are the words of the Lord, and we acknowledge that also. Then we acknowledge the facilities, the friends, the family members, their contributions in our life also. It is said that, a man has to live in a society, and he doesn't grow alone. He grows, because of the culture raised in the family, culture that the parents have given, the body that the parents have given. So acknowledge that particular aspect and thank the Lord for giving that body. Why? Because that body is going to be used in the service of the Lord. If you have no body, then probably how can you do anything? So you have to actually acknowledge that. And not only that, the facilities, whatever may be that, your position in the society, maybe in the form of wealth or whatever, knowledge, whatever you may have, all those things need to be acknowledged. And not only that, for our own sake, for our progress in spiritual life, we acknowledge the presence of our dear friends, the dear devotees. Without them, we will not be able to do anything at all. Association of devotees is a must for all of us. If someone thinks that I can progress in spiritual life without devotees association, then he is in illusion actually. We need association of Vaishnavas to just push us forward. Not only that, inspiration, everything, like wonderful association of Vaishnavas make us, we come here, we hear, we get inspired. Very nice shloka is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd canto, where Kapila Muni instructs his mother, Devahuti, Satam prasanga mamavirya sammido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana katha yad joshna dashva apvarga vartamani shraddharatir bhakti anukramishati. Satam prasanga mamavirya sammido. When you are in the association of Vaishnavas and discussing about mamavirya sammido, you are doing discussion about my glories and activities. Bhavanti ritkarna rasayana katha. These wonderful narrations, they become very nectarian for the ears. And what happens? Yajoshna dasha apvarga vartamani.